Hey, everybody. You may have heard by now because we announced this on social media, but on September 24th, we are doing a live show at Flappers in LA. Technically Burbank, though, right, Paige?
Yes, LA adjacent with better parking and good food.
Apparently they have good food. Mikey's promised to eat pasta on stage.
Or wings.
Or wings.
Whatever you guys want.
Or wings.
I want wings for sure.
Or pasta-covered wings.
What about wing-covered pasta? You know what? We can workshop this later.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. But please, I've never been out that west. I'm excited about it.
You can buy tickets on Flappers' website through their calendar for the 24th in September. Or if you want to go the link directly through the link, we'll be posting it on social media because it is flapperscomedy.com/shows/the-horror-version.
I saw the URL as you were saying it, and I already added it. I already added it to our Linktree type service. So if you go to any of our social media and click on that link that we are allowed to have in our bio of social media, you'll see live show tickets is the very first thing. Just click on that. It'll take you right to it.
And we'll be periodically posting it on social media so that you can catch it and see it. So watch all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. for links to buy tickets. There are a limited amount of tickets. This is slightly bigger than live shows we've done in the past, but we do still have a limited amount. So I would recommend buying them early and making plans. Also, it is at 5 p.m. on a Sunday. We did that so that if you had to drive from out of town, you might still have time to drive back in time for Monday the next day at work.
Boom. So come see us September 24th at Flappers in LA. It's going to be awesome. And yes, Mikey will be there.
Yes.
The star.
All right, let's get into the episode. This episode brought to you by the following patrons: Jay's Pack, James, Madeline, Sunzi, Vixen, Holly, Natasha, Laura, Boezy, Jeremy, Ali, Jennifer with the PH, Mr. Ragebomb, Libby, Wes, Dreskel, Aaron, Kristen, Tia, Taylor, Lauren, Jonathan, Kate, Isaac, and Karoon. And all the patrons want you to know you're loved, you're listened to, and you're a valuable member of this awesome Horror Virgin community. And if you want to hang out with us, do so in the Facebook group where we hang out daily.
Laugh lines.
Oh, hold on. I got it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's right. Mikey wrote a laugh line and he let us know in advance.
He's like winding himself up.
Oh yeah. He was like, I'm going to crush the laugh line, guys. Don't even worry about it.
I've been watching Mission Impossible. I'm Henry Cavill in a bathroom.
Where'd that mustache come from, Mikey?
Your mom.
The episode hasn't even fucking started. Just launching missiles.
All right, Mikey, let's see if this laugh line lives up to its name.
You might as well call me Leatherface. I've been laying out so much in the pool in the backyard.
Damn it, that actually is pretty good. Son of a bitch.
It's all right, but it didn't necessitate insulting your mother's facial hair.
I don't know. I think it might have.
Mom Selleck. Thank you for tuning into Horror Virgin on Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your Horror Virgin Todd, which means I don't like scary movies, but you guys make me watch them. And this week, you guys made me watch Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Yes.
Had either of you seen this movie before?
Apparently not.
No.
I'm not sure I saw much of it today because it's so dark.
It was too dark to see.
I know, but this is my first time seeing it as well. And I did, honestly, I love the audacity of starting it like Star Wars.
I mean, it was like, somehow Leatherface returned.
Yeah, exactly.
Deep in the forests of the deserts of Texas.
I wish it had been like tilted back like the Star Wars ones were, just so it's a clear ripoff.
You're just like, wow.
I'm gonna steal that footage and then drop in that music under it and just post that.
I did in my notes label it as The Crawl.
I did too. It is a crawl. Like, wait, that is the definition of it. Oh, whatever. Yeah. Sorry. We'll talk about that in a bit. What did you guys think about it?
This may be one of the worst films we've ever done, objectively.
How dare you insult Aragorn like that?
I think we've done worse. But I started to question why this movie was made at all and why they made the choices they made.
Yeah.
Because this basically retcons the entire second film. It's like 2 doesn't exist to this movie.
Yeah.
Which is insane because 2's amazing.
2,
yes.
I know, I was going to say, I love 2. 2 is fucking madness.
2 is my favorite.
Yes.
And here's the thing, this follows very generic horror beats. Like, structurally, it's pretty sound, which I know sounds crazy. It's just that they didn't have great characters or a ton of information. And then by the time it gets to the third act, it does the same shit that every TCM movie does up to this point, which is have a dining room scene that I'm just like, we just don't fucking need this. We don't need 20 minutes of her screaming. Just give me more Viggo Mortensen and leave me alone.
Yes.
In this film, we will be calling him Viggo Mortician. Yeah, I wrote a bunch of shit for this thing.
Hell yeah,
fun.
Mikey. I love the energy we're bringing in tonight.
Macy, get!
Oh, jeez. She's just like right there.
I didn't even see her. Oh my God, that's so funny. Sorry.
I would like to mention, when we did TCM2, we did bring up the weirdness that seems to be that all cannibals are hot. Armie Hammer, Sebastian Stan, and Viggo Mortensen. So, like, the curve remains. It's still wild.
I mean,
I feel like this was more of a you thing than an us thing.
No, Todd texted about it in the group chat. Viggo Mortensen is hot in this movie.
oh, I just said that Aragorn was in this movie. I wasn't like would smash.
With a sledgehammer.
Don't worry about it. I geniused up a way for me to do that. And then I didn't show how to do that. Did you guys see that?
I know.
I hated that
that's
so much.
I was so
I
mad.
literally rewound it because I was like, wait, did he just set up a geniused up way to like do the hammer hit on the head?
Yeah.
And he says they did, but they don't show it. I rewound it twice.
Yeah, no, they just pull that lever thing and then like we hear it and then nothing.
We hear what sounds like a guillotine and then nothing.
Yeah, unfortunately, he is a grower of ideas, not a shower.
I, in that similar portion of the movie when they ruined Leatherface's Walkman, I was very upset about that.
Yeah, whatever tape was in there did not survive.
Okay, first thoughts though, it doesn't get dumb enough to become a movie that I like.
Yeah, it's not dumb enough to be fun.
Yeah, it stays in that sweet spot of not traditionally good by any definition and also not good for any like campy culty definition. It's just like, and there wasn't enough gore to be a Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It's a lot of people running.
Yes.
And they cut away. Yeah. And then the first half hour is ridiculously dumb and slow. And like,
yes.
And her brother might be the most I've ever rooted for a person to be murdered in my life.
That's her boyfriend, Mikey.
Well, I still think he should have been murdered.
No, here's the thing. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that like within the story, that is her boyfriend. They are breaking up. This is their breakup trip, basically.
Wait, they're breaking up? Wait, because he's dead?
No, well, I mean, yeah, obviously. No.
This isn't Guns N' Roses. I don't need a breakup tour. I just need like a conversation.
In the car, they're driving her car, or I guess her car to her dad in Florida. Then she's going to New York. And he's staying in Florida. And they talk about it in the car where she's like, I wanted this last trip to be for us to like spend time with each other and enjoy this and then peaceably go our separate ways.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm going to be a dick about it the entire time.
Well, I mean, he was a dick, but he got his, obviously.
Yeah.
I actually, I wrote down where they were going from and to. They were going from LA to DeLand, Florida, which is 2,491 miles, and it would take you about 35 hours to drive that today. I don't know back then how long it would take you, but
well, way longer if you don't take a fucking interstate. Yeah.
I know, like I don't understand why no one takes the interstate. Like at least in Wrong Turn, they give you that. Hey, he tried to take the interstate, but it was traffic jammed or whatever.
You also have to remember some of these interstates were not built at that point.
In 1990?
But they were at this point.
This movie takes place in 77. Yeah, I
77. Yeah.
Okay.
Made in 90, takes place in 77.
But wasn't the interstate built shortly after World War II? Like
some of them were, not all of them. Like
Route 66.
Route 66, but Route 66 is basically, it looks like what they're driving on.
It does.
For a huge portion of the time. Yeah. So like they might be on 66, but like we have interstates in LA that were only built in the last 20 years. So like it's not shocking to me that like they didn't have something yet.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, Route 66 definitely was there, but like this might have been on Route 66 somewhere because that road's been there since like the 20s, I think. Like that is like an old quote highway.
It is, but also once you get on 66 into Los Angeles, it's almost like a city street.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Same with the PCH.
No, that's completely different.
No, the PCH, when you get down into San Diego, it turns into surface streets in San Diego. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. No, you are right. Yes.
Yeah.
Once you get to Oceanside, it does turn into city streets.
I just didn't give you the context of in San Diego. It doesn't in LA. You're right.
I was like, in LA, it is very much not that.
You were right too. I just hadn't said San Diego.
But yeah, in San Diego, it does the same thing.
But that was before we built the highway system. Anyway, this has been our local guide to
logistics and you.
Anyway, the movie sucks.
So, Mikey, you're not a fan?
No, I just found nothing redeemable about it.
You didn't find the chainsaw that was swimming on its own in that lake? Question mark.
I mean, if I could have saw it, maybe.
I love it. Because, the whole night scenes, which is like 80% of this movie.
Like 60 minutes of this movie.
Like, it is so hard to see most of what's going on.
When the little girl turns the floodlights on, I was like, oh, fucking finally.
Thank God.
Oh, you mean when Leatherface drives 20 feet only to get out of his car and then chase that woman on foot?
Yeah.
Yeah. That little girl gaffer finally lit the film about like 90 minutes in, and I really liked her for that one scene.
And that's why she deserves the payments. Hit the picket lines. WGA strong. SAG strong.
Yeah, the Women Gaffer Alliance. That's the WGA, right? Anyway, the dialogue in this movie is sort of insane to a level that I respected. There's one point where Viggo Mortensen is talking to his one-armed brother, or one-handed brother, the
Captain Hook.
Yeah, talking to Captain Hook.
I don't know anybody's names, and they've all got random names. The only one I remember is Tex, and I'm like, you can't be Tex in Texas. Everyone's Tex.
Yeah, we got Viggo Mortician, Leatherface.
Right.
Mom. I guess other brother, maybe?
Small
Is that the
kid.
family? I don't know.
Or employee. I don't fucking know.
Uh-huh.
It's Texas. It gets weird down there. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking at it right now. So we have Benny, who is the guy who saves her more or less, although she does sort of save herself at the end.
Ken Foree.
Yeah, it is Ken Foree. Yeah, Michelle is in this movie. Or Michelle is the final girl. Leatherface. Ryan is her boyfriend. Viggo Mortensen is Tex. The guy with the metal hand is...
The prosthetic?
Yes, is Tinker, is his name.
Tinker. That's a cool name.
And then the gas station guy is Alfredo.
Oh, the gas station guy is my least favorite part of this film.
Oh, you mean because he's a sex pest with a shotgun?
Yeah, he makes me wildly uncomfortable.
As he should.
And he's played for comedic effect, and I'm like, this isn't funny. Like, if you, as a woman, or I don't know, anybody out in the world, have ever been sex pested upon by somebody like this, oof magoof.
Yeah, he's terrible.
He's terrible.
But also, the way y'all talk about the characters makes it seem interesting. It's really not.
It's really not.
I did love when he gets shot, the sex pest Alfredo gets shot.
I did love that.
He gets shot with a shotgun through like the back window of the truck, right? And so he's in the bed of the truck.
Yeah.
And you would think if someone shot you from like 3 feet away with a goddamn shotgun, that would push you back away from the truck.
Todd, that's the movies, man. The bullets go through you. They don't knock you back.
No, dude, but he just jumped, like he gets shot.
Oh, yeah,
and the character literally jumps straight up and then falls on his back like he's trying to land on his back on a trampoline, and it made me laugh watching it. Did you guys not see that?
It's a me, and Alfredo, and a sex pest.
I was too busy cheering and then putting up my Italian hands.
These are the hands of Paige's people.
Oh, no. Unlimited breadsticks.
I did think the saw looked pretty dope, though.
The saw was amazing. That saw is huge.
That saw is the best thing about the thing. I mean, yes.
I really do wish they had revealed it like Phantasm, like the Phantasm reveal saw on the shelf. Like, that shit was amazing.
Like, how could that possibly fit on this IKEA Kallax? Yeah.
Right now, I'm kind of liking the Phantasm series series more than Texas Chainsaw.
Oh, I would say Phantasm is 10 times better.
Hard agree.
Yeah. No one has had sex in a graveyard in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre-averse.
I know.
With an old man.
Disguised as a busty lady. But I mean, yeah, the bulk of this movie is teens running, car crashes, and you don't really get to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre of it until the third act. And then it's just weird. It's just stone cold weird, but not in a fun way. Like, especially when Ma is like, Leatherface makes good babies. I'm just like, what the fuck is happening?
I know. Like is Leatherface, like, does he have like a dad-brother relationship with Viggo Mortensen's character? Like, I don't know what's happening. Like, where'd that little girl come from?
I think that's Leatherface's daughter, but then Ma is also like, I cut my private parts out years ago. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who are these people and why?
I wish the movie answered any of those questions.
It doesn't.
Because you see, Paige, in Texas, you don't have a right to your own choices there.
Boo. I mean, that is accurate. That is true. But especially because, like, TCM2 is crazy. Like, it's not like the first one. It doesn't make sense in this timeline. It's almost like it exists outside of the series. This feels more like a sequel to the first one.
It does.
But then you're just like, okay, so that didn't happen. But then the crawl that happens at the beginning also doesn't make sense.
Okay, yes. Let's just start the film and start at the crawl.
Yeah, let's just jump into it so we can go through it scene by scene, guys.
Okay, so I'm going to read out the crawl so that we know what happened, and I'll pause in between each section because I have questions. So, on August 18th, 1973...
Palpatine's back.
Palpatine is back. The Trade Federation has taken over. Yeah. Sally Hardesty, her invalid brother Franklin, and their friends fell afoul of a bizarre cannibalistic clan of serial predators. Ms. Hardesty was the sole survivor of that night of terror. She died in a private healthcare facility in 1977. Now, TCM2 takes place in the 80s, and we know that because...
of everything.
Yeah, because of the movie.
But also, Hopper's character has been looking for his niece and nephew for, what was it, like 14 years?
It's something like that. Yeah, it's a long time.
Which puts it into like 1987 or whatever. So apparently in this movie, TCM2 never even happens because they mention Sally in TCM2 and that she's in a facility, but that's out of line with the timeline they're establishing in this crawl.
Yeah.
Then, a single member of the murderous family lived to see trial. The prosecution recorded his name as W.E. Sawyer. He died in the gas chamber in 1981. Okay, so that precedes the events of TCM2.
It definitely does.
Completely.
Yeah.
But also, in TCM2, everyone dies. In the original, no one, well, I guess a couple people die, but like Leatherface is definitely still alive and other people are still alive.
Oh, you mean of the family? Yeah, I mean, they do kill a lot of people in that movie, but yeah.
Yeah, like she escapes, but the family's around, so I have no idea why he's the only one that lives.
You mean the only one that
sees trial? Yeah.
Yeah.
The jurors concluded that Leatherface, presumed to be an unapprehended killer, was in fact an alternate personality of Sawyer's, activated whenever he donned a crude mask made of human flesh. If there was no Leatherface in reality, then Sally Hardesty may at last rest in peace. If there actually was a Leatherface, he remains at large, and the so-called Texas Chainsaw Massacre was only the beginning. And then we get the sledgehammer hit from the first movie. Now, if you heard that crawl, and you're expecting like an origin story for Leatherface, that sounds awesome. That's not what this movie is at all.
No, I mean, also it couldn't be an origin story because this takes place in like after the events of the first TCM, right? So
there is an origin story of a Leatherface movie that came out a few years ago.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
I did not watch it.
There's another Leatherface from 2017.
Ah, okay.
But the fact that this movie is called Leatherface and starts with that crawl, and Leatherface is in conservatively 10 minutes of this movie, and there's no extra information about him except for his time with his speak and spell. There's nothing. It's just a normal TCM movie with nameless teens that are going to get killed and the family doing their dinner thing, which, by the way, how many members are there of this fucking family? They seem to never run out of people.
Well, welcome to Texas.
Yeah, that's fair.
I did love the audacity of having a crawl like this, like an informationally heavy crawl at the beginning of your movie, and then presenting this movie like it needed that.
Yeah, or like it was related in any way.
Yeah, like I don't care about any of that. Let's just watch Leatherface, like these established characters that we already know. Let's just watch them kill people. I don't need to know like what their tax returns were. Let's just have some fun.
Yeah, exactly. And then they proceed to spend 4 minutes, because I timed it, on credits.
Yes.
Out of an 84-minute runtime.
They definitely had like a script from what would have been a 45-minute TV show and turned it into a movie with this.
Yes.
It's boring. This film is boring.
I feel like I'm podcasting with a toddler on some level.
I know.
Because occasionally he's just like, guys, it's so boring.
But here's what that is, though. Whenever you try to pad runtime,
yeah, you can tell,
that's
man.
what happens.
Yeah.
You can tell. And when nothing is happening and characters aren't making decisions that are related to things that they need to do or personal motivations or plot motivations, yeah, it gets boring. And then almost every like slasher movie like this in the later series can fall victim to this, which is trying to make that last battle epic, but then also padding runtime so that you end up with like a 20-minute battle where not much fucking happens.
Like Wrong Turn. We just did Wrong Turn, and it is that way exactly, Paige.
Yes.
And I do think, like Wrong Turn, this is also sort of like paint by numbers horror. Like, nobody really knows what's going on. Nobody really cares. It's just like anything that needs to happen happens, like whatever. I think that makes it fun, though. Like, I sort of enjoyed watching this movie because it's just like, oh my God, what's going to happen next?
Yeah, well, and like I said, it is structurally sound.
Yeah.
Which I know sounds crazy, but it is. It is a structurally sound film.
But it was like you asked ChatGPT to write each scene individually and then just picked your favorite ones out of those generated responses from ChatGPT.
I mean, it's the best movie filmed in a Spirit Halloween.
I don't even know if that's true because, you know, Phantasm exists and...
Oh, they're making a Spirit Halloween film as well.
Oh, here's what I need. Just a boring retail workplace comedy in a Spirit
I
Halloween.
would love that.
Just like Jim and Pam looking at each other across the ghouls.
There's no... They 1000% could film a very scary Spirit Halloween movie that takes place inside one store all night. I could shoot that. Like, I know how to make that movie.
This movie, and we haven't gotten to it yet, but they have the worst looking skeletons just scattered throughout the whole film.
When I saw that child's room, I was like, someone needs to clean this kid's room. Like, there are bones on her floor.
Well, here's the thing, though. I think she is the most horrifying character. She comes the closest to being scary.
Agreed.
Because she turns that doll and you realize it's a human child.
Yes.
And you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
And then she's pure evil.
Mikey, would you have punched that child?
Oh, yeah. You drop kick her out the window.
Yeah, more of a kick, but like if I was in that situation where the family's after me and I ran upstairs and this is obviously their relative, I'm going to take that kid hostage.
Abso-fucking-lutely. Yeah. You're going to saw through this baby to get to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they might.
They might have, but I certainly wouldn't have saw that coming.
Yeah.
I love puns that you don't even quite realize they're puns.
Well, the one thing I did like about the credits is I did zero research on this movie before watching it. So I was like, Viggo Mortensen. And then it was like Ken Foree. And I was like, Ken Foree. I was very excited.
I can tell you how much Todd and I paid attention. We did not text each other about Viggo Mortensen being into the film until he got on screen. I was like, hey, is that Aragorn?
Hey, Gondor calls for meat. But we also, the credits are intercut with Leatherface sewing and making the mask.
Yes.
Which again, I was like, okay, like we already kind of knew that. Like, is this trying to make us scared? I don't know.
I think it's just trying to pad the runtime so they can call this a movie.
Yeah, because what we cut to next is a car on the road, and through their radio, we're hearing this like, there's a mass grave and it's caused a traffic stop and blah, 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 blah.
You know, all those mass graves full of 50 or 60 bodies, guys, right off the state road they're
off
on?
the interstate.
Like, what?
I always say this. All mass graves should stay in the right lane. That is the slow lane. I need to be in the passing lane.
In the passing lane. No, and that's such an outrageous number of people in a mass grave to find. Like, when they found a mass grave like that in Africa earlier this year, we did a story on it in Cult Podcast because it was like, holy shit, that's a lot of people in a mass grave. Like, this is happening in Texas. I believe western South Texas, because they're on their way to Houston.
Yeah.
Which means that it's just over the border from essentially Brownsville / Matamoros, which is where the Narcos Satanicos had their mass grave only a couple years before this movie. So, like, maybe that's why this ends up in the movie, but then it's never addressed again. It means nothing within the plot of the film.
We never confirmed that mass grave is from the cannibals either.
I mean, I would assume, but we never confirm. We don't know why they would have been there and then moved. And like in TCM2, when they have their food truck business that wins chili contests.
God damn, I love the premise of that movie so much.
Oh, so good.
How do you not include the best food truck ever conceived?
Yeah.
How do you not include that?
The award-winning chili truck.
Thank you.
See, this is how we ended up talking about cannibalism last time, because Mikey and I were both like, I would absolutely try that chili.
Uh-huh.
It's award-winning, Paige.
Award-winning.
It wins awards.
Yeah.
And I also think the family is creepier. Now, that movie is a hot mess.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. But I do think the family is creepier when they're like, they kind of go serial killer, like, we're among you, hunting you. And that is more of a creepy premise than just these, like, we eat people who come into the woods. And you're like,
But I also have a problem with it being the woods because, A, they filmed a lot of the first 40 minutes of this movie clearly in Joshua Tree, California. And because they drive past a ton of Joshua trees.
Well, you know, it's lots of deserts have woods.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, a wood and a swamp in a desert?
Yes.
What the fuck?
This is all of the South in one little area.
Yeah.
Welcome to Louisiana, where we have desert bayous.
Louisiana. That's the part of Texas that Jake is from, is Louisiana.
Oh, is that actually a thing? I thought he just made a joke.
The place where Jake is from is only a couple hours from Shreveport, Louisiana. So, like, that's one of their closest big cities.
But they don't call it Louisiana, do they?
No, they should, though.
They absolutely should. Mikey, you got to trademark that shit.
Mm-hmm. Like Texarkana. Anyway, so in the car, we meet Michelle and her boyfriend, Ryan, who are breaking up after they drop this car off.
I gotta be honest with you. I would not do what would probably take 3 or 4 long days of driving.
Yeah.
I would not do that with someone who I was breaking up with.
I think it depends on the breakup. I know people who, like, I know some people who got divorced recently, but it was amicable. Like, they just were like, this is not working for either of us. So they went on, like, one last vacation trip, and then they split. And that kind of made sense to me, because they were like, no ill will for each other. We're equitably splitting assets. We're not happy that this is happening, but nobody is the villain, right?
Sure.
And so they were like, celebration for the relationship that was, and now we go our separate ways. But I think most people could not do that.
No, I would just be like crying that whole time, guys. Like, that would be
I'm sure they did. Yeah, I don't think I would do this.
I would not do this. If I actually loved them, I would do this with an ex I hated. I'd be like, sure, let's go.
Yeah, let's ride this shit show down to Florida. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't do this trip at all.
I would be like, make your fucking dad fly in and drive your car. We're broken up. And that's how vindictive I am once we break
That doesn't
up.
sound vindictive to me.
That sounds normal.
That is you no longer being willing to do favors for someone who is no longer your significant other.
And do emotional labor for a relationship you're not in.
Yes.
If you wanted me to drive your car across the country, you should have married me and had my children. Get the fuck out of my apartment.
Okay. All right.
I like
ridiculous.
how Mikey has just like built a whole character around this.
Because I'm not in a relationship with someone unless I'm like in it to win it. Like once I'm like,
sure.
No, Mikey, we're familiar with your dating style.
We know.
Yeah.
So like if we're broken up, it's usually because they don't want to go that far, and I'm not gonna take your trash out or.
Of course. No, I understand.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it more in the sense of like, And I'm trying to think of what would make Jake and I break up that wouldn't make one of us angry. And the only thing I can think of is like one of us decided to come out or something
like one of you was
that.
gay or whatever. Yeah.
See, that would make me angry.
That wouldn't make me that angry, honestly.
Because I'd be like, how long have you known? And they were like, well, I've thought about it for a long time. I'd be like, this would have been really important to know.
I mean, I definitely understand the initial reaction, like, wedding singer. Like, I understand why you'd have that initial reaction, but like, I also agree, Paige. I don't think I could be like very mad at that person. I'd be like, fuck, I wish we lived in a better society so you felt more comfortable exploring that before this.
You find me a person out there, I will find reasons to be mad at them, okay? So, like,
I mean, that sounds like a you problem.
Here.
Mikey, that'll be $125.
Yeah, because I think of it like this. First of all, I would know that he was coming out as bi. Clearly, I have evidence. But
okay, let's say they go into a teleporter with a housefly and become a fly, and then
right, great. I'm not going to go on a trip with a fly.
Yeah,
that
you don't want to be
terrible.
married to a half person, a brundlefly, and so you amicably divorce. I could get on it that way.
We haven't done The Fly.
We have not done The Fly.
We haven't done any
gross.
Cronenberg. Someone actually reached out and was like, you guys need to do any Cronenberg anything.
The body horror in Cronenberg is real. I'm down for it.
I wouldn't know. I haven't seen any Cronenberg. Like, I have no experience for what that's like. We should do that. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, anyway, all I'm saying, before Mikey kept interrupting about scenarios in which he would be mad at people.
I'm so sorry.
All I'm saying is that's a scenario in which I could see Jake and I being like, we're going to peacefully split up.
Yeah.
But first, we're going to go on a fun trip. We're going to have a good time.
We're going to go to a gay bar. Like, whatever, right?
We're going to have a blast.
That is like the one situation in which I would do that because, listen, gay bars are fucking fun and like...
Super fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me cater the wedding. It'll be great. Yeah.
But that is like the one situation.
That's the one I can think of. I mean, I'm sure something else might come up, but like that's the one that I can think of where I would be like, all right, yeah, no, we're going to high five, have a fun trip, and then find a way to equitably split the assets.
Yeah.
At which I'm sure it gets less friendly at that point.
Probably. Yeah.
Anyway, so they're on the road. There is a traffic jam where the mass grave is because apparently they're just letting people drive through a massive crime scene.
Well, this is what drives me insane. The gravesite is not under the road.
Right.
It is maybe to the side of the road.
Yes.
And they would definitely like tent off so you couldn't see what was happening, but that would not shut down the street.
People just rubbernecking.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Maybe that's what it is. But if that's what it is, you would be moving more than they're moving.
Yeah.
Like, because they are stopped.
Well, and they're checking every car.
Hey, did you bury these 400 people here?
Like, what do you think? They're just going to like, I'm returning to the crime scene.
If somebody asks you where you from, where you going, I'd be like, I'm from here, get a fucking warrant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought this is America where I can go where I want and bury how many people I want to bury.
Wait, okay, that second part.
Oh, wait. I didn't do it.
I guess I just misunderstood the American dream because my dream was to drive around burying people I've killed.
Yeah.
Well, boy, do I have...
Oh, boy, do I have a state for you.
Hey, you can drive around. You can bury people all day. I think there's like plenty of jobs like that.
Yeah.
Actually, grave digging is a job. Like that is something that people do.
I learned about it from Dave Matthews. Grave digger. My grave. He's got a famous song called Grave Digger.
I know,
Mikey.
but the fact that you went with Dave Matthews and not the truck Grave Digger from every monster truck race possibly ever is insane to me. And I like Dave Matthews.
You know that I'm too cool to ever listen to Dave Matthews.
Oh, stop being a little baby.
Yeah, I didn't get that reference either.
A huge personal fan, but when I was in high school, it was everywhere. It annoyed me to the point of exhaustion.
Okay, so as the only person that likes Dave Matthews Band here, it is 1000% because Dave Matthews Band has the best drummer currently playing drums in the world, Carter Beauford. That dude's amazing.
We don't need to go into this
Just saying.
right now.
Look, I don't have a peanut allergy and racist ideas. I'm not white enough to enjoy Dave Matthews.
My mom and aunt went one time.
I've seen Dave Matthews Band 3 times in concert.
And they were like, they played too long. They're like, They didn't play songs. They just kept going. I was like, it's a jam band.
They are a jam band, yeah.
Aggressively, no thank you.
So they'll play like 20 songs over 3 hours.
That sounds terrible.
I dig it.
Yes.
I'm into it.
Aggressively bad.
I hope next week when I see Flo Rida and Ludacris.
Oh, see, I would absolutely go see Flo Rida and Ludacris.
Hell yeah, same.
I'm so jealous of you.
Coming for you, Cincinnati Harrah's Casino.
Here's the thing. I don't care that much about Flo Rida, but I ride hard for Ludacris.
Hell yeah. Chris Bridges, I celebrate his entire
Ludacris
collection.
Bridges?
I'm excited.
Where's
about
his
it.
Oscar?
Dude can actually act, Paige. Like, that's
I
not
know.
a joke. Dude might EGOT over the course of his life.
And he was great.
I know.
My middle brother texted me. He's like, do you want to come up here last minute and see Flo Rida and Ludacris? And I was like, absolutely, go ahead and buy the tickets.
Yes.
Do you get a +1 and can I go?
Unfortunately, no.
No. Got the last 2 tickets there were. I saw Lizzo. There is something about a Lizzo concert, and everyone else that I know has seen her has said the same thing, where it becomes like a weird communal event and everyone is just fucking stoked and dancing, and it's the best shit ever.
Because I'm like, oh, it's Pitbull. I don't know that, but then like you go to the crowd and everybody starts buying the bald caps and they're wearing fake suits, and you're just like,
oh my god.
And they're just like super, like everyone's the old man from the Six Flags commercial, and I'm just like,
I love this guy named Pitbull. I love this guy named
This guy named Pitbull.
Sorry.
uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
It should be uno, dos, tres, Pitbull. And then start.
Uno, dos, tres,
Pitbull.
Pitbull. Yeah.
You know what I miss, Mikey? When white males were represented in pop music. Sorry. there are just so many other white dudes in music. No, I mean,
It's just a hard time to be,
To noodle and drum for 3 hours on songs that all sound the same. Yeah, I'm sure that is hard. Boo.
it's a little boring.
Yeah, it sounds boring as shit.
I'm going to cut this part, but like, I don't like Dave. Like, Dave has toured a lot without the band. I'd never go see Dave live by himself. I'm there to see Carter, like, just rip up the set. Dude's amazing.
Dude, you got to see Green Day.
I've seen Green Day. Trey Cool's amazing. I name checked him last episode.
Green
Trey
Day is one of the
Cool's
best
an
shows
amazing
I've seen,
drummer
too.
Yeah, and the fact, because they've got a drum cam on him. The last time I saw the show,
They
drum
did the same
cam.
with Carter, yeah.
That dude's almost 50 and he's just like, his back is shredded.
I'm sure.
And it's wild when you see him walk around because he looks kind of like an older, kind of little pot-bellied guy.
Yeah.
And then his back is just like muscles. And you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Anyway,
So they drive up on the crime scene and they get asked where they are. And then we get like a little cut over into the coroners of the crime scene that we just never come back to. Like, but it's 15 minutes of screen time of them just like bodies in the mud, like pulling out Urukai from this mass grave.
yeah.
Yeah. And that the bodies had putrefied or whatever. Great. Awesome. None of this means anything for the rest of the movie.
And it's also perhaps not connected to the story at all. Like nothing
Yeah,
links
who knows?
them. Although I would say this is like implied that it's from the family killing those bodies, but they
Right.
wouldn't be pulling up bodies because they'd be eating them. They'd be pulling
Right.
up just bones. So the fact that it's like, I don't know. To me, it was like, this might just be unrelated to them. This might
Yeah.
be that Satanica Scratch Lactica thing you were talking about earlier, Paige.
Yeah, exactly. Narco Satanicos.
That's the one.
God bless you.
Thank you.
I wish you had been on the mic when you said God bless you, but yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's very funny.
They drive past, and this is at night. So the next day, so they've driven all night, and she says, I'll drive all night. You sleep. I don't want to talk to you, basically.
Be like, okay, well then just drop me off at any place and I'll get the fuck out of your life forever. Like, why
Yeah,
why
sorry
am
that
I
I'm
even-
doing this favor for you.
And fully, this dude's the worst. I hated his
Yeah,
character.
he is.
When he died, I was
Yeah.
like fine with it. But like also, I wouldn't have put myself in that situation.
Well, let's talk about the girl a little bit too, because she really hesitates to act or defend others unless it's coming right for her. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think what we see in part is, because I'm sure you're referring to what's going to happen very soon after this, where Viggo Mortensen is like, are you alone? And she's just like, maybe. Like that.
No, it's the end where like she lets the other guy get chainsawed.
Well, there's nothing she can fucking do. Like,
Well, I mean, she picks that rock up and hits him with it pretty quickly afterwards.
she does all right on her own. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, oh, now that he's dead, I'll take his car.
And that's Benny, right? That's the guy who had the machine gun, right?
Yeah, Benny. That's Benny.
Well, with the rock? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like, Benny gets disabled, and she's just, like, watching it. She's like, oh, no. And then he turns around, and she's like, oh, I better do something. Yeah,
that floating saw is going to hit him. Yeah.
But she is at the side of the lake area just yelling Benny more than the crowd at an Elton John concert. Like, she's not doing anything.
Benny the Swole.
I just came up for the best joke when we get to that scene. I'm going to keep it, but like...
Oh, my God. I can't believe you would topped my Benny and the Jets joke just now. But listen, we'll set it up and we'll see if it pays off, Mikey.
Hey, kid, chainsaw in the water, fighting with a Leatherface, and now we gotta run out. We're gonna kill the fatted calf tonight, so stick around. Yeah.
Why do I picture this as being sung by Dr. Frankenfurter? But Tim Curry's Dr. Frankenfurter? Yeah, love it.
Elton John, also one of the best concerts I've ever seen.
Hell yes, that dude's amazing.
Anyway, so the next morning, they've driven all night. They've yelled at each other. They've listened to a podcast and then discussed it. And the next morning, they arrive at this gas station. What podcast do you guys listen to on road trips?
So, okay. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Audiobooks.
I listen to audiobooks too. Yeah. So like when I go on road trips, it's audiobook. The last audiobook I listened to was Killers of the Flower Moon.
That new one, yeah.
Yeah, the book is old, but they are making a movie. It's coming out, I think, the end of this year. I think Scorsese directed it.
The last podcast I listened to on a road trip when we went to the beach earlier this year.
Oh, so you do listen to podcasts sometimes?
No, it's. I'd said this before, but I'm going to say it again.
He listens to all them Smallville ones.
No, I do listen to that. But like, they've just taken the audio from Dateline episodes.
Yeah, you said that.
Oh, yeah, you told us about that.
And it is just as compelling because your imagination.
I'm sure.
Look at the video, and they'll like reference the footage on screen, and I'm like, I can't see it.
I can't see it.
But I love being here. They're like, as you can see, it was a pistol. I was like, was it? Okay.
Was it? I don't know. I don't know what it is about my ADD that prevents me from listening to audiobooks, but I cannot concentrate on them.
Do you just get bored, or what's the deal?
Yes, I tune it out. And like, no matter how hard I try, I tune it out.
What you need is Mikey reading an audiobook doing his me impression.
Oh, God, no.
I'll do voices for all of them.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Jake and I will usually save long last podcasts on the Left series to listen to, or Behind the Bastards. And then sometimes we try out other ones, but usually those are our go-tos. Anyway, they pull up to this gas station, or rather, we see Viggo Mortensen pull up to this gas station as a hitchhiker, and then their car pulls in. As Viggo Mortensen walks inside, there's Alfredo sitting outside cutting up Playboys.
It's a me, Alfredo. I love it, a Playboys.
It's a me, a chiffonade like the basil.
But it's not like a magazine. It is like ripped out pages of Playboy that he's like fisting in his hand.
You should check your wording on that one.
My bad.
I'm really surprised that Paige hates him because he's super into arts and crafts like Paige. I just don't understand.
Oh, you think she saw a lot of what she hates about herself in that character? Yeah.
Italian, arts and craftsy. Small business person, entrepreneur.
Small business owner or entrepreneur.
You know what? You are a lot like Alfredo, Paige.
Oh, I hate this. I hate this so much. Because he does the thing like, I don't know if this has ever happened to either of you, but sometimes as a lady in the world, you will get cornered by someone who wants to shout everything they want to do to you sexually into your face. And it's the worst. It sucks a lot.
I had an experience like that once.
And he immediately does that.
It sounds like it was way better than your experience, though.
Yeah.
I was once at a party at someone's house. And there was a lady there who was very, very drunk. And she like put her arm, you know, like when someone like leans and they put their arm on the wall, but like leans into you, you know?
Yeah.
Like they have a secret to tell you. And she leaned into my ear and said, "You could have me if you wanted me."
See, that's very different.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That is very different.
I had a woman do the same thing. She'd lean into me, whisper in my ear. She's like, "I want to tug on your balls." And I was like, "Lady, That didn't happen, but like that's what Paige is talking about.
I know.
No.
I want to slap your balls with my hand and make you scream, and you're like, "Oh shit!"
Oh God, no, it's worse than that because usually this person is also preventing you from leaving.
Yeah.
And has waited until you are alone, so you are not safe.
I did have something like that, which this woman whispered to me, and she was like, "I want to handcuff you," and then she said, "You have a right to remain silent."
Anything you say can be held against you in my bedroom. Let's go.
And I was like, I didn't bury any of these 400
bodies.
400 people.
But yeah, it's a thing where, and dudes will do it online too, where they just send you messages of like what their fantasies are, and you're like, I'm not participating in this. Like,
This is why we don't check our message requests often.
yeah, oh yeah. This is aggressively why I don't check the requests folder that often, because it's like, you're fat. I want to do horrifying things to you.
Yeah.
I love cult podcasts. You're fat.
Yeah.
You're fat. So like, yeah, but that's what happens. He waits till her boyfriend goes to the bathroom and then he corners her. And she's like, can you just fill up the car? Like, I don't want, because he takes a picture of her Terminator style and tries to get her to buy it.
Yeah, he's like, $5. It's a great picture of you or whatever. And it's still like developing in his hand.
Yeah.
He is just the most obnoxious person ever, really. And clearly like off. Like there's something wrong with him, right? Clearly there's something wrong with him. But she does like, you know, her ex-boyfriend, I guess, at this point, fucks off to the bathroom. And she was even like, please, you go first and report back. Let me know how gross it is or whatever.
Yeah.
So he goes.
He's like, it's about to be gross because he's in there for about 20 minutes.
He's like, you broke up with me, so I might miss a lot of the bowl. Anyway, but the guy comes over. Alfredo comes over. You know, Paige's people comes over.
Uh-huh.
So Alfredo comes over and starts like yelling at her.
Do you like the olives?
Yeah, why you don't like my gas?
Well, eventually she's just like, go fill up the tank. Please leave me alone. And then he like continues to creep her out. So she like gets out of the car and starts to walk away from it.
I hate what happens next because guys totally do this. And it's the fucking worst where you are like, hey, no, I'm married or whatever. Or like, hey, no, I'm not interested. Thank you.
Or just super not interested in dating someone who is you.
And then they walk away and then they just mutter the most terrifying shit under their breath of like, I'm going to make you moan. You're going to like it. And I'm like, oh, you're fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
He very much scares her.
Anyone who externally monologues the shit they were thinking about doing to you, like, is a unwell person. Like, that is not someone I want to be around anyway.
Yeah. Yes. Now, Viggo Mortensen steps in.
And it's sort of the hero of this scene.
Oh, yeah. And he's Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah.
So, like, you know.
She was like, did I mention he's my ex?
Yeah. And he basically is just like, hey, leave her alone. Now, I think this is all planned. I think they are planning on scaring her, the whole thing. Because I think what he ideally would have wanted would have been in the car with them to then attack them in the car and then drive the car back to
that's
wherever.
what he was trying to set up. Yeah, because he's hitchhiking, right? And that's why he was telling them about that road, right? Because that's the road they live down. So like he was going to just take over the vehicle some way on the way there and then drive them there.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, she's still sad about hitting that armadillo, which is very sad.
It is sad. I was like, why did this movie start off like The Invitation? It's just an armadillo instead of a wolf or a coyote or whatever it was in The Invitation.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like the same beat by beat because they hit it. They have to go out and like kill it with a rock. It's like, it's sad. I didn't like it. It's
super rough. I remember driving to see Jake's family in Texas and like being out kind of on back roads and there were just dead armadillos everywhere.
Yeah, man.
Because there were just so many armadillos and they wander into the street and it was just...
It's a problem in the South a lot. Like, especially, I grew up in Florida for a few years. And there were a lot down there, too, that would get hit. I was so young at the time, I called them armadillos because I didn't know what they were called. But I was like, Hars hate these armadillos.
Well, you just can't see them till it's too late because they're low to the ground.
Yeah. And they're also gray, like, which also, so they sort of like blend into the street a little bit, which is rough. So anyway, it's sad.
Yeah. Anyway, he's like, hey, it's roadkill. It's a natural order of things. It's fine. If you were the last thing I saw, I'd die happy. And you're just like, oh, Gondor calls for aid. Like, yes, Aragorn.
Aragorn, get it.
Yeah. But then we cut to Alfredo back in his bedroom being like, don't you ever do that to me, bitch. Just like monologuing. But my favorite part about this is that he's got like a bunch of Playboys and a bunch of naked ladies and then just a poster of beef and beef cuts.
Yeah, like as a concept, not like a product that someone's marketing. It's just like beef.
A fan of beef.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a fan of me, you're a fan of beef.
Yep. And also a bunch of dead lizards and spiders.
Yeah.
Viggo Mortensen, meanwhile, continues to chat up Michelle. He's like, you can call me Tex and I'll buy you guys a beer if I can catch a ride. And Ryan, her boyfriend, comes out and immediately, like, hand around her is just like, yeah, no thanks. I think we'll be moving on because we've got a schedule. So she goes to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, Viggo Mortensen, you can't come with us. Meanwhile, Alfredo is like peeping on her in the bathroom.
Yeah, it's like Porky style, if you know what I mean. They move a poster and he's like looking down the peephole and you see her in the bathroom more or less, which is terrible.
Yeah, because if there's one thing that I'm into, it's
women shitting.
DMs. Yep.
Yeah.
That's sarcasm. I do not want your BMs in my DMs, like I said that one time.
I forgot you said that on a podcast episode, you idiot. Yeah, I'm not into it. This is nothing for me. But it is sexual assaults, right? So it's not great.
Yeah.
It's not great.
It's peeping. It's not good.
But
it's
I also think this is staged, right? I guess maybe it's not.
I think this is set up. I think the deal is that he gets to look and then Viggo Mortensen breaks it up so that they kind of stage this shot thing, which makes them drive away and makes them follow.
Yes. But Viggo Mortensen gets mock shot in this little play acting that they're doing, right? Which is wild to me that would be a part of the sketch or the skit they're doing for them.
I think it's if they don't let him get in the car. I think that makes what sense.
Is. Okay, yeah.
That this then forces them back onto the road, onto his road, because then they will chase them. Yeah.
You're right. Okay.
Yep.
But that's what happens. Viggo Mortensen gets, quote, shot. And as far as the viewers go, I mean, we know because he's Aragorn that he's definitely going to be in this movie more. But, you might think that he actually was shot by the Alfredo.
Right. They want you to think that.
Yes. And listen, I knew it was him, and it broke my heart that Alfredo shot him. It broke my heart.
I know. The second that the shot happened, I was like, oh, he's in on it.
Yeah.
And because he seemed to know Alfredo, I was like, he's in on it.
Well, that's because Alfredo sauce is never good for you.
It's good for my mouth. It sounds delicious right now.
I know, right? I'm hungry.
I know.
Same.
Jake and I are going to make enchilada casserole later, and I'm very excited about it. Anyway, so it looks like they shoot Aragorn. They take off on the road.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, a truck revs up at the station and follows them out onto the road.
Yeah.
And the little gas station guy, Alfredo, just starts shooting the gun up in the air and he's like, it's Armageddon! And I'm like, why? What is this? Why?
He's saying things like the trap is sprung, just to let the audience know that this was part of the plan and the real danger lies ahead, not behind. You know, that whole thing.
Which, it's a TCM movie and it's the third one. We assumed.
Yeah, we know what's for sale here. We know what we came to see.
Yes. So they're driving and they're like, I thought there was a town around here, but there wasn't. They're going to slow down, but they hear someone driving behind them without lights on. The lights go up and it's right on them. And it runs them off the road and tosses a dead coyote onto their windshield.
Oh, you mean that stuffed animal or whatever that was on there with their hood?
It does look like a taxidermied coyote, honestly. I think it may at one point have been alive.
It may have, but it definitely hadn't been for years when we saw it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh my God, what? And as they were run off the road, they blew a tire. So now they have to change the tire. And she keeps sweeping with the light to see if anyone's around them because they can hear the creaking of Leatherface's leg.
Yeah.
The squeak of his braces. But without the light, he can't change the tire. It's a self-perpetuating problem.
Yes. And they also are breaking up, so they sort of hate each other. So he's an asshole the whole time.
The light, Michelle.
I know.
I've got it, Ryan. I was like I don't want to be on this vacation with you two anymore.
They absolutely should not be doing this. This should be her and her dad should be driving this or whatever, right?
It would make for a more compelling movie as well.
Yes. Anyway. Who should arrive but Leatherface? And again, just like the last movie, he's sawing everything but the people he's trying to kill.
Yes. He is the stormtrooper that carries a saw.
A saw, which your hands, you should be able to just hands people.
He likes to assault everything.
God, I love you so much.
Anyway, they drive away, but he takes their trunk And
Yeah, because he's like superhuman strength, right?
yes. So they're driving. Ryan wants them to pull over so he can tighten the lug nuts. And then this sequence of like them and the Jeep and Viggo Mortensen is so badly filmed. I did not know what happened.
It's so confusing. Paige, this is another section I had to rewind, and I
rewound it twice.
What the
and
fuck
I was like,
happened?
nope, I have no fucking idea.
It's so bad. It's just objectively bad.
It honestly does seem like they had 8 days to film the entire movie, so they didn't get the coverage they needed for the shots they wanted to use. Because it literally is like they should be showing you, and a good example of this is the thing he geniuses up to do the sledgehammer hit that we never see. Like,
right.
That's a good example of what I'm talking about. Like, they clearly set something up that should happen, that we should see, and it happens off screen.
Yeah.
And this is one of those times where, like, I needed to know what happened. Like, where are the cars in relationship to where they are? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. I went back through Fun Facts to see if there was some information. There is.
Yeah, I figured.
I
figured there would be. I thought there would be fun facts about that, actually, while watching this movie. Because it does feel very rushed. Like, when you do 48-hour film festivals and stuff, like, that's the kind of compromises you see on screen because you don't have much time, you know?
Yeah. We'll get into those at Fun Facts.
Yeah,
anyway,
absolutely.
So Ken Foree was driving his Jeep. Now it's totaled. And at first I was like, is he a doctor? No, it turns out he's like a soldier that's either like National Guard weekend warrior or sovereign citizen style soldier. And we're not entirely sure.
I got National Guard vibes.
vibes. He kind of goes back and forth because he's like, we're survival enthusiasts. And then he's like, I'm a weekend warrior. And I was like, I don't know.
I mean, he could be in the National Guard and a sovereign citizen. Like, I bet there is some overlap there.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Anyway, he pulls them out of the car. He gives them painkillers.
Yeah, he drugs them. Yeah.
He drugs them. And at first, Michelle is unconscious. Ryan's awake. And Ryan's like, there's people after us with a chainsaw and guns. And he's like, yeah, sure, those militant lumberjacks. I see them all the time. But then when Michelle wakes up and she's like, oh my God, we're being hunted. There's people after us. He's like, you're serious. You both have the same story. So like something's going on.
Yeah, I get why you wouldn't trust Ryan. He's a douche.
Yeah.
But when she wakes up, clearly they haven't talked, you know. She wakes up and like tells him the exact same story. That is when I would be like, oh, fuck, maybe there is something going on.
Yeah, and she seems really concerned of like, you got to get Tex. Tex is still up there because we did see Tex, and that's part of why they crash. But I'm like, girl, how you think he got here on foot? Like, you guys drove for hours. It went from day to night.
Yeah.
Like, why would he be out here? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
did he run up here?
Yes.
You guys were in a car. You're probably hours away by car.
Yes.
And he's just there.
He's just there.
Yeah.
Nonsense. Anyway. So Ken Foree, Benny, is like, I'm going to go find some stuff from my Jeep, some more supplies, and I'll go look for your friend, but whatever. So he gets up there and finds a trail of flares and another truck that's like, hey, I noticed the accident. I'm here to help you with your Jeep. And he's like, oh, I'm glad you came along. And then he goes to put his stuff in the back bed of the truck and sees the chainsaw. And he's like, yeah, okay, hang on, I need to get one more thing out of my Jeep. So he goes to his Jeep and you can't really see it because it's so dark. I was like, that's either an Uzi or a Kalashnikov.
Like, it's an M16.
Is it an M16? Okay,
it's definitely not a Kalashnikov. It's definitely a U.S. manufactured weapon.
Yeah, it's like an AR. Yeah, it's
but it's an assault
Vietnam
rifle
era.
of some sort.
Vietnam era M16.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't know. Big gun.
I mean, yes, if you could see it in a light, you could probably tell what it would be, but I don't think you ever get to in the film.
You never do. You see him loading the magazine.
Yeah.
And he's trying to like quickly load it to then probably go shoot that guy because he's like, oh, this might be the guy.
Which makes me think he's neither a good sovereign citizen or weekend warrior.
Personally, I was like, why isn't this magazine already loaded?
Okay, if you're going to own assault rifles, never mind.
Yeah, I was like, don't say this.
Yeah.
But I will say the overlap of people who own assault rifles and already have a loaded clip of ammunition for said assault rifle.
Perfect
it's
circle.
A magazine top.
Perfect circle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like, I get what you're saying, Mikey.
Well, because I was thinking about it, I was like, well, a lot of people store their ammunition separately.
Yeah.
So that there's not accidental shootings. That's very responsible. Understand. But
in a lot of places, it's required by law. Yes.
In California, it is required by law.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why you wouldn't store the loaded magazines separate so that you would just get a magazine, get the gun, put them together.
And it's all in the trunk, just loosey-goosey, which is also weird.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I just bought this 6 hours ago. Oh, man.
I mean,
I'm
that's
just
actually the
coming
only
from
way
the
it makes
gun
sense,
fair.
actually. Yeah. He was going gun shopping and was driving home from that. That has to be what it is.
Because they're in like a mason jar. I was like, who just keeps their bullets like that? Anyway.
Well, you gotta pickle them for winter.
I add a little bit of chili pepper to mine.
Chili pepper? Are you talking about incendiary rounds?
Who's Cindy and why'd we shoot her?
That's funny.
Because they're in Cindy. Never mind.
In
All right,
Cindy.
whatever.
Oh.
He's trying to load. The guy in the truck, who is the one with the prosthetic, so Tinker, he gets impatient and just rams the truck into the Jeep, almost killing him, but knocking Ken Foree basically down the hill.
Okay.
Where he
is this where he had? I don't understand why they took the time to do time to. He's like, this is what the flares are for, idiot. And then I was like, well, if you're just gonna murder him anyway, why did you put 40 flares out in a row?
I think to make sure no one else stopped.
I think it's because they couldn't light the scene properly.
Oh, that's very possible also.
That I would not buy unless I had watched this movie. But yeah, that might be it.
Yeah. Anyway, he tumbles down the hill right into Leatherface. And so he then fist fights Leatherface with that gun, where they're like chainsaw to gun, like American gladiators on the pedestals, like fighting.
I wish this had been on the pedestals because that would have been more fun to watch because American gladiators knew how to light a scene.
Yeah, they did. Because of that one weird porn guy.
That's just,
if you've seen the documentary, you
that
know I'm right.
documentary is
Yeah,
so
I
good.
have seen the documentary, and you are absolutely right. Yes.
Just one of those dudes where you're like, I guess he's technically not doing anything wrong, but I don't believe that. Like, I have my suspicions. Anyway, they're fighting. They fall to the ground. He kicks the chainsaw away, but then Leatherface out of nowhere just has like a tiny bone saw and like takes it to his leg. But a girl is watching and calls out like, hey, you want me, not him. And she runs away through the woods.
But this is like some random person we've never seen before.
We've never seen her before.
Also, I love that this scene like cements how much Leatherface loves saws. Like he doesn't carry a knife. That would be way more practical for this like situation. He carries like a hand like circular saw thing.
Which would need to be plugged in.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure they have some today that don't need to be plugged in, but like, I don't know. I mean, Jake would probably know. I don't know.
No, that's a medical saw.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's a
I
medical
thought it was
saw.
like for like precision, like artistry with woodwork.
No, that's a bone saw. It's
Oh my
a saw
God.
that they would use in
Bone
surgery.
saws,
Okay.
Reddy.
Bone saw.
So he's got a pocket bone saw and the world's
Yeah.
longest extension cord
Yeah.
in case he loses his chainsaw. And I love
Right.
that about his character.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we cut back to the unconscious teens who are like, how long have we been out on painkillers? I don't know. We got to metabolize it. And so they just take off in a random direction. No one knows anywhere where they're going. They were in the desert. Now there's woods. No one has questions. It's really strange.
And it goes from like they're in the desert during the day and at night they're in the woods.
Well, it's colder in the woods. Yeah,
Yes.
it's colder at night, so woods can grow up. Yeah.
Have you guys ever been in one of those flash wood storms where like
Yep.
all of a sudden overnight woods grow? That it's classic case. This happens all the
Well,
time.
This is technically the morning because it's after midnight, so it's morning woods.
Maybe
Oh
because
my
we
God.
don't actually know what time it is. From a filmmaking standpoint, in California, you could drive from desert to woods within a handful of hours.
Yes.
Very possible.
Absolutely.
That's part of why people film here, because you've got multiple different microclimates.
But
Great.
could Viggo Mortensen run from desert to woods in a matter of hours?
I don't know, but I'll watch him try.
I have seen that. It's called Hidalgo.
Yeah. But in Texas, they're not to Houston yet. So they're in like West Texas, which is pretty much all desert all the way.
Yes. Yeah. It's a very boring drive. I've done it twice.
Yeah. And so I'm like, what forest is this? Unless they have managed to get all the way across Texas to the other side.
Right.
East Texas, which is kind of foresty swampness.
What did Mikey call it? Louisiaxis?
Louisiana.
Louisiaxis.
Yeah.
Louisiaxis, very swamp. Much swamp, very trees.
But those, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you've probably been to Texas way more than me, because Jake's from there.
I've been to a lot of Texas, yeah.
So, like, that's really far away from West Texas, though, right? Like,
yes. We're talking like a day's drive almost. And by day, I mean like 8 hours. Like, not like 24, or whatever.
Right. I guess my point is it would take a long time to get there. Like, they are so far away from where Viggo Mortensen was chasing after them on foot. Like, the fact that he's there is insane.
Yeah.
And I love it. Like, I think that's one of the things I like about this movie is how wildly insane it all is.
How could you doubt a ranger could track them?
Strider is so fast, guys.
He's so fast. Where they end up looks more East Texas than anything, and it's just
firmly Louisiana, which is a term that everyone understands.
Yes.
Well, and then in the first Chainsaw Massacre, it is like there's woods. It just looks like a rural country place where there's woods and it just looks, and there's like fields and stuff.
Well, and there's some of that in like Central Texas too. Yeah, like, but,
this film goes out of the way to be like, you're in the fucking desert.
Yeah, especially because when she walks back down the path, because she finds the road and gets to the crossroads, and it's the fucking desert.
Yeah.
And it was walkable.
Anyway, the geography in this movie is insane, and I'm here for it. Like, it's one of the things I love most about the movie.
It's nuts. So they run into the woods, right?
Yeah.
We cut to Ken Foree and this mystery teenage girl who finds him and is just like, shh.
I have so much exposition to give you while I'm whispering.
Yes.
Please don't talk and please don't interrupt me.
Yeah. And she basically is like, me and my sister came like 5 days ago. We were on a trip. They killed her. They've been hunting me. I haven't been able to find my way out of the forest.
I ate a rat raw yesterday.
Yeah.
She's just bragging.
Yeah. But she does tell them they thought they saw a man that had been run over. They stopped to help him.
Which I'm assuming is Viggo Mortensen. It has to be Tex, right?
Yeah. But now everybody's in the woods and he gives her a cigarette. She gives him a lighter. And he hears Michelle screaming his name, giving away their position immediately.
Yes. Which the lighter does come back. Yeah. It is clear. Like, this is Chekhov's lighter, I guess is my point.
Sure.
Like, it is so clear because she gives it to him. And she's like, you know what? Keep it. And I was like, in that moment, I was like, he's going to kill someone with that lighter and she's about to die.
Yep. And she is also very clearly so traumatized.
I mean, that is like the old man equivalent of like, I got 3 days till retirement. Like, you're about to die.
Because literally Ken Foree walks 2 steps away and then Leatherface must have been right behind him because he's like right there with the girl and like pushes her up against a tree and chainsaws her to death.
Yes.
Instantly. But we cut to Michelle and Ryan running through the forest. Ryan trips and his foot gets caught in what looks like almost like a bear trap.
I think it is a bear trap.
So she can't like get him free. Yeah.
And he does say eventually, just go, just leave me. Because he's stuck. Like,
because you were going to anyway.
Well, I was like, run, bitch, run, like go. Because Leatherface advances on them and chainsaws Ryan, although we will find out that Ryan survives.
Yeah, he's not dead yet. I mean, he is dead by the end of the movie, but he's not dead yet.
Yeah.
Where did he chainsaw him that wasn't a mortal wound?
Like his abdomen, like his stomach, which I would think that shock would kill you. But again,
his pants are also still tucked in when we see him hung up. So like,
yeah.
I guess my point is when they bring him in, he's aggressively chainsawed nowhere on his body.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're correct.
Well, it does cut away. We just hear a chainsaw. We don't see
but like when we see him later, there's no chainsaw wounds.
Right. So I guess what happened...
Chainsawed around him to fuck with him and he passed out.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So what happened has to have been that this got Ryan just like passed out and Leatherface was like, okay, cool. I'll just take him back like this.
Yeah. Anyway, Michelle runs. She finds a house. And a house in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, you think these people don't live at this house? Like, what?
Right.
What?
Yeah, you're in their woods. Clearly, that is not a house you want to go into.
Yeah, and she just walks right into the house, like doesn't even knock, nothing. Sees the little girl, follows her up into the room.
And doesn't recognize that the room is covered in bones.
Full of bones, and human bones specifically.
Right.
The little girl is like, this is my doll. Her name is Sally, and she turns around, and it's clearly a human baby, like the skeleton of a human baby.
Yes.
And as she gets close, The little girl stabs Michelle, and then Michelle's like, ah, and backs up. She just goes, yakety yak. And I'm like, why do people say the weirdest shit in this movie?
It made me laugh, though. I was like, hell yeah. I love these kind of like big, weird swings.
It's so
and
weird.
I think she stabbed her with a sharpened bone.
Bone, yes.
I was like, fuck yeah. This little girl is the scariest part of the movie.
Oh, yeah. And she backs up right into Viggo Mortensen, who's just like, they get dumber and dumber, don't they? And I was like, no, because this is the first time that the movie is like, he's in on it. But I was like, all right.
The dumber they get, the smarter I stay. Because he's like that equivalent.
The younger that,
He does sort of put off that kind of vibe.
Here for it. Not the cannibalism, because I feel like they're being pretty wasteful and it's not as environmentalist as I would like. But blonde Viggo Mortensen, yes, please.
I mean, especially at this time, like this is before, I don't know, he just looks way younger in this movie than
he's very young in this movie.
He looks in the Lord of the Rings series that comes
Still
out maybe
here for it in Lord of the Rings.
10-ish, 15 years after this maybe. But man, he's a hunky dude. I get it. I get why you'd be into him.
Yeah, he was my Lord of the Rings pick. You know, a lot of people, Legolas, no. For me, Aragorn. The whole time.
I was into Eowyn all day.
That makes sense.
She killed one of the Night King bitches or whatever. Anyway.
Yeah. He nails her to a chair, like nails her hands in place.
Literally, like Jesus Christ style, like with a nail and hammer.
Yeah.
This could have been really graphic. It's not, but it could have been. I still winced because you do sort of, you don't see it, but like you see him going through the motions of it and you hear the sound of it. And that kind of made me wince, but I was so grateful you don't actually see it. And the scene of her ripping her hand off of the nails, we see her having done it. We don't see her doing it. And man, that would have been really gross to see as well. So like, I'm glad we didn't see it, but
I do love that for the rest of the movie, she walks around with like T-Rex hands.
Yeah.
Because her hands are all fucked up. But I love that he like nails her hands to the chair and just goes, so how you like Texas? And I was just like, what? How is he still charming?
I like the deserts and the woods and the swamps.
Anyway, the little girl comes down and Michelle's like, why are you doing this? And I was like, girl, they're not going to tell you. This is not the time to ask questions.
Yeah, you should ask those questions to the police after they've done the research in the case. Like you shouldn't ask them now. They're not going to know. Or they're not going to tell you the truth because they're the ones doing it.
Right. And the little girl's like, if you don't poke them, they don't leak. And then we can't feed Grandpa. And Grandpa is very clearly dead.
And has been for a long time. It looks like the maggots that were once alive in his eyes are dead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They bring Mama down, who is in a wheelchair with a voice box. And all of it's weird and bad and troubling, right?
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm like, why is there always a dining table scene in these movies? They bring her boyfriend in. They hang him up on meat hooks. They say some real offensive shit about Ken Foree and differentiating him as air quotes dark meat.
Yeah. I mean, they are serial killers from Texas. It's not a stretch to also assume they'd be super racist, bad people.
Yeah, of course. And so they gag Michelle. And I was really upset that they taped around her hair because that's going to hurt coming out.
Oh, but and I felt bad for her, like as an actress in that scene, knowing what it takes to get that kind of shit out of your hair. Like that would hurt.
Yeah.
It would hurt.
It would hurt a lot.
Yeah.
It reveals that her boyfriend is alive, not dead. We cut to Alfredo, who's looking for Benny in the woods, and he's just muttering to himself. Meanwhile, Leatherface comes home, and he puts his headphones on Michelle, and she's just like, no, screaming, so he takes them back.
I badly wanted to, lay in the never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around, then eat you.
Or I would have settled for at the Copacabana.
I'm gonna eat some of your hand.
Yes.
But she clearly is not a Rick Astley fan, so she screams and he takes his headphones back. And then Tinker grabs the Walkman and throws it in the oven.
Yeah, which made me so sad because I'm like, oh, no.
I know, right? Like, let him have it. Why can't he have a Walkman?
This is the one innocent thing that Leatherface has.
But Leatherface gets his revenge. I loved when he's forcing him to get it out for him. Like Leatherface is forcing Tinker to get the Walkman out of the oven and he won't let him use his metal hand.
Yes.
And I found that sort of funny.
Yeah, he makes him use his burnable hand.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, this is also where they give This is also where they give Leatherface his new saw, which is conservatively the size of like 3 saws, and has like, fins on it, and it's engraved with "The saw is family."
I mean, it is awesome. I thought this was cool as shit. I love the saw.
Yeah. But this is where Mama, because Leatherface is very upset about his Walkman.
Yes.
And she says, why don't you go do your lessons and get that thing off my cutting board, which is the saw. We'll find out what his lessons are later. We cut to the swamp where Benny has his gun again, miraculously, and points it at Alfredo, who is just talking shit the whole time. And so he like pistol whips him, basically, like whatever pistol whipping is with a giant gun, and puts him in the pond and says, 1 down. And I'm like, you should have fired into that pond.
You should have shot him. Like, he literally just pushed him into a body of water, and he acted as if he killed him.
Which also, that body of water looks like it should have gators in it because he was dumping body parts into it, and then there don't seem to be no gators.
I didn't see any, but I will say it was very dark, and I couldn't see most of what was happening.
I didn't see no
during
gators
the dark
in there.
scenes. Me either.
I didn't see no gators. Anyway, we cut to Leatherface doing his lessons, which is basically a speak and spell that he fails multiple times and gets frustrated.
Because it's a person's face, and he keeps typing in food.
It's supposed to be a clown.
Okay, so Mikey, you've brought up something I wanted to talk about so badly, because there are clearly 5 spaces for what the word could be. And he keeps typing in food. And of course it's saying it's wrong because it is wrong, but he doesn't even know to type 5 spaces. Like, how dumb is Leatherface?
I know, for being such a good skin seamstress.
I mean, all I'm saying is he clearly has some form of cannibalism-based mental disability.
Anyway, so we cut back into the house, and again, it's just too long of them like torturing her at the table and going to kill the boyfriend. And then they do the thing where they're like, oh, we got to hit his head with a hammer, but we did that invention, and then they like pull the thing and we don't see it, so we don't know what it is.
Nor is there any contraption in the room. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, they literally pull a lever and you hear what sounds like a guillotine, and then nothing changes in the scene. It's wild.
We get a wild, upsetting conversation about like how much Leatherface likes private parts, which we saw in TCM2.
Yeah.
And how he, quote, makes the sweetest damn babies, which to
me meant they had tasted them. Is that what you guys got the vibe?
Like I think so.
Yeah, they were eating those babies like it's their veal or whatever.
Yeah, I think so. Because there's a bunch of baby skeletons in the little girl's room.
There are.
So, I'm sure they're kidnapping some also.
Sure.
But yeah,
that seems to be their normal MO. So, like, if the family they're killing has a baby, I'm sure they eat that baby too.
Yeah. But anyway, they're about to skin her boyfriend. She screams. Benny hears her, and from outside the house, he just opens fire.
He sort of just blind fires into a room where there's a hostage, which I think is a wild call, but like, I get it. So, like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But Mama gets shot. Who else gets shot?
Tinker gets his ear shot off.
That's
right.
He
shoots Dad's corpse. Michelle uses this chance to pull her hands off the nails and grab a knife, and she stabs Tex.
That's what it is. So Tex doesn't get shot. He got stabbed. You're right. Yeah.
Right. Benny gets her outside. She runs, but they're being followed by Leatherface in the truck. So Benny's like, go towards the trees, go. So Michelle runs.
And this is the first time we see any lighting in any scene.
Yes.
And that's because the little girl runs out and turns on the floodlights outside.
Right.
And this is where I mentioned this earlier, but like Leatherface gets in their big ass truck and drives 10 feet or whatever.
Yeah, because Benny runs out of bullets and just goes under the truck. And Leatherface never looks under the truck.
I was like, what the you know where he is. He's just he's laying down.
Let's go back to the speak and spell.
Okay. I mean, yeah, he is not a bright. Okay. I mean, I get it. You're right. I'm expecting too much.
Now, inside, Tex and Tinker are still alive. And they say one of the few lines in this movie that I fucking love, that I'm like, I kind of want this on a t-shirt or something.
Yeah.
And I would like to maybe propose it as a company name. So maybe cut the company name part out if you want to. But the line is, get out the big skillet. It's going to be hell for breakfast. And hell for breakfast is amazing. I was like, yes.
I mean, that does sound pretty dope as shit. Yeah.
I like a spicy brunch.
But yeah, get out the big skillet. It's going to be hell for breakfast. And I was just like, Fuck yeah.
I mean, that's something that I would say now, but like it's in a different context in this movie.
Yes.
But I'm here for that line. Yeah, it's great.
Yes. Benny is obviously alive, and Tex comes outside, and he's coming after him with an axe, which he immediately loses to Benny. Like, Benny disarms him almost instantly.
I mean, if you look at Viggo Mortensen and you look at Benny, you always knew that was going to happen. Like,
of course.
And Viggo Mortensen is not like buffed out Aragorn looking Viggo Mortensen.
He's lithe, skinny.
Yeah, he's a bit more slender, I think I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, well, we were hungry. And he's like, Ken Foree is like, y'all ever heard of pizza? Which I think is also a great line.
That's my favorite line.
I love that. Yeah, I mean,
like, y'all ever heard of pizza?
I will admit that this movie is terrible. Production value, terrible. Editing, terrible. But there's a lot of fun in this movie because it is like crazy. And this is one of those crazy lines that I just love.
Yeah, and Viggo Mortensen's like, I like liver and onions. I was like, well, onions aren't people, but whatever.
Also, livers are in every animal, more or less. Like, you could eat other livers. Yeah.
You could.
I also thought about that.
Yeah.
But while they're fighting, they're like hitting the Jeep or whatever, or the truck,
yes,
I think
it has a gas tank on it.
Yeah, and it does have a gas can on the back, and the axe goes through that, and the gas starts pouring out. And this is where the now dead teen's lighter comes back to save the day or whatever.
Yeah, and Ken Foree like holds him under the gasoline, and then...
Yeah, he's soaked. Yeah.
And he just says, toast fuck, and then lights it. Which also, toast fuck, great name. I mean...
I honestly think we should make it a company name.
Yeah.
Toast fuck. But I prefer their breakfast cinnamon toast fuck.
So first you have cinnamon toast, and then you fuck?
Well,
or after. Do it after. And use horchata instead of milk. You're welcome.
On cinnamon toast?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch, yes, because horchata is kind of spicy as well.
Sorry, I was thinking of like actual toast with just cinnamon on it, like butter and cinnamon.
Yeah, because you eat terrible cereal.
That's not cereal, that's toast. I was thinking about toast.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
I do love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It's a good cereal. It's too sweet. Like, it's just too sweet, though. I can't eat it all the time. Crispix is where it's at, guys, is what I'm saying. Crispix is the
they
shit.
didn't pay for advertising. No. Anyway, the truck and Tex explode. Meanwhile, Leatherface has been chasing Michelle in the woods on foot for some reason. She steps in a trap and it drags her, but she tries to cut herself loose. It drags her basically into the pond.
It does. Yeah, it drags her all the way into the water, which I thought was a cool ass trap, but like...
Yeah.
That tree must have been 1 billion feet high to drag her that far.
Well, yeah, and because the counterweight must have been so high. Yeah.
It cuts back to the counterweight, keep falling. I was like, oh, that 10-story tree must have been really fun to climb up.
And far away, because it drags her for like half a mile.
They just like transplanted one of those redwood trees that have been around for like 1,000 years into their forest. Yeah.
It's wild. But Benny runs into the woods. He and Leatherface go into the pond.
Yeah.
She gets out of the pond. So now she's like on the shore. She's literally just screaming, but the saw is upright in the pond, still going.
But it's like, Paige, it's not just like stuck against a rock,
it's a
still
buoy.
going. It is like going, like it is like flowing back and forth.
Well, you see, friends, that is actually a seesaw.
This is the joke he was setting up before. Oh my God, Mikey crushed it. And yes, that is better than my Benny and the Jets joke. Holy shit, that's amazing. It is a seesaw. You're right.
It is the seesaw.
Yes.
But in the dark, so we can't see fucking shit, Leatherface and Benny fight. And Benny at some point gets like injured, but you don't see it because it's dark.
I thought he was dead.
I thought he was dead too, because it looks like Leatherface is pushing his head onto the saw.
Yeah, and I think, and his head is bloody, but I think it's just like he gets like strafed or whatever.
Again, it's too dark to actually see what's happening at all. I mean, it does cut back to our heroine who's like, uh-oh.
Oh no, and grabs a rock, and as Leatherface is trying to climb out of the pond.
She should have helped him.
Yeah, she should have. I don't know how she would have, especially in the dark because she can't see. But anyway, she throws the rock and smashes Leatherface with it and just says, sorry, little guy, which is what she said to the armadillo earlier.
Yeah.
We cut to sunrise. She walks to the crossroads and just sits on a tire with her hands all T-Rexed and all fucked up.
Yeah. I do love that Benny shows up and doesn't have like oh, by the way, I was in a government experiment and now my skull is made of adamantium. Like, that is the only way he would have survived.
Yeah, it's me, Red Skull. Yeah, like it's...
Somehow, Benny returned.
Yes.
I'm the first Captain America soldier. And you're just like, whoa.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is in the same universe as Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He's like, it's me, it's Benny, get in the truck. I don't know how Alfredo also got there. I'm guessing he was hiding in the bed of the truck. I don't know how Benny didn't notice that. Whatever.
He didn't, because Alfredo comes up and like hits him in the back of the head with a sledgehammer, and still Benny doesn't die.
I
Benny
know.
is a badass.
Yeah, Alfredo tries to choke Michelle, but she gets a shotgun from the car and shoots him. He falls into the bed of the truck.
He literally jumps up in place and then like backflops onto the bed of the truck. It's like they couldn't afford like a pad for him to fall onto, so they just shot it to where he jumps straight up so he could land on a place that wouldn't hurt him from falling out of.
That makes sense.
But they pull his body out of the bed of the truck, and she says, there's roadkill all over Texas. And Benny goes, got that right. And they drive away.
Yeah.
But Leatherface is still there. And that's
the
movie.
So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, and a lot of other things, I'll admit it. What did you guys think about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Leatherface?
I definitely prefer TCM 2, because it's fucking nuts.
TCM 2 is leaps and bounds better than this. Even from a production standpoint. I mean, I do love the story too, because the story was written by Cocaine in that second movie.
Yeah,
this movie is way more forgettable for me than that second one.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, because it's not crazy enough to be TCM 2, and it's not scary enough to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1, and so it's nothing, you know?
It's a sort of weird middle ground that's not really super scary, and it's not really super campy, so it's not awesome.
Yeah.
This may be the worst Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie I've ever seen.
I think it's the worst one I've seen too, but I've only seen 1, 2, and 3.
I've seen other of them, and they're out of order. There's one with Matthew McConaughey in it.
What?
That's the next one, I think.
Oh, wait, that's the one that Matthew McConaughey banged your professor, right?
100%.
Can we get her as a guest when we do that episode?
I don't think so, but maybe we could try.
Because I got to know if he could go all night, all night, all night.
I don't think so.
Well, Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
I do.
Well, here it is with your fun facts.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre fun facts. All right. So this movie had a director problem in that they had offered it to John McNaughton, Peter Jackson, Sam Raimi, Tom Savini, Scott Spiegel, Rennie Harlan, and a bunch of others, and they had all turned it down, except for director Jeff Burr, who they fired at the beginning of production, then tried to get a bunch of other people to take the job, and when nobody else would, they rehired him.
Oh my God. That makes a lot of sense when you watch this movie. Okay.
He claims that he was the 50th director offered the job.
Oh, wow.
Guys, if you were looking for that many directors, I will direct your film.
Also, he claimed that New Line forbade him from talking to Tobe Hooper, but he never found out why.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's even true, but if it is true, why? Like what? Why?
Yeah, I don't know. Now, Caroline Williams, who was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 as Stretch, the one who dances with the chainsaw at the end, she is the news reporter in this movie.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, so Jeff Burr said that he imagined Stretch becoming a reporter following what happened to her in the second movie as an attempt to hunt down Leatherface. So that's where the crawl would make sense, but none of that's in the movie, you know?
I would watch like a later Jamie Lee Curtis going after Michael, but instead of that, it's, you know, her going after the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family or whatever. Like, that would be cool. I'd be here for that.
That would be cool. Something a little unique about this movie, the trailer was complete before they had even hired a director and before production started.
What? What's in the trailer? What are they?
Just footage from the other films.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Now, the original script was much more brutal and had a lot more gore sequences, but a lot of those got cut out at script stage. One in particular had a nude man being split down the middle while hung upside down, which, if you've seen Terrifier, that basically shows up in Terrifier.
But it's the flip of that because it's a woman, right?
It's a lady because I think that movie kind of hates ladies.
Yeah.
So they had to make additional cuts after production to avoid an X rating. So that's why there's no gore in this movie. It was submitted to the MPAA 11 times.
Jeez.
More and more footage was cut every time, and some of it has been lost forever. So some of it's just gone.
I honestly bet this would be a better horror movie if they left
some of that in.
Yeah.
And it was the final movie to be given an X rating certificate. After this movie, the rating is replaced with NC-17. So.
Oh, that makes sense.
New Line picked up the rights to this series, hoping that it could replace Nightmare on Elm Street, which they had just kind of concluded. Now, this movie was so bad and did so poorly in theaters that they let their option on the entire franchise expire.
Oh, really?
Yes,
That's
which is
crazy.
very rare for studios to do. Studios fucking never do that shit. Case in point, Spider-Man
and Fantastic Four. Like that's why
Fantastic Four.
That's why those movies typically suck, because they are
because they're just trying to maintain the option. Yeah,
they're made because you have to make a movie to maintain the option. Yeah.
Yes. Now, Kane Hodder was the stunt coordinator for this film.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. And also, Leatherface's stunt double.
Makes
so
sense.
he actually is the one playing Leatherface in the trailer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. There was supposed to be an unmasking scene in which we would find out that Leatherface was very, very disfigured, but that scene was scrapped despite an obvious buildup, because he's making the mask in the credits, and then there's that scene where he's in the mirror, and I was like, oh, is he going to take it off? And they saved it because New Line wanted it to be in the next sequel, which never happens, but it does eventually get used in the remake, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 13 years later. So,
okay.
Prop master Paul Byers designed the Excalibur chainsaws for the film. They made 2. And there are 3 chainsaws total, the basic one and then the 2 that they used, the fancy ones. But they were $3,000 each, and they weighed 80 pounds.
They do look heavy. Like they are big ass full metal chainsaws,
Yep.
Oh, wow.
And they were how much, Paige?
They were $3,000 each.
Yeah, so that would be $7,000 today. Literally $7,300 today.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Now, director Jeff Burr wanted to shoot this on 16 millimeter in Texas like the original.
That's cool.
And New Line rejected that idea because they'd already built the sets in California.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well,
and that's
go.
probably why it looks like they're all over
California?
the place geographically. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The ranch where most of this filming takes place is out just past Santa Clarita, so it's really close to Six Flags Magic Mountain. And Jeff Burr, the director, swears that they weren't able to get all the screams out from the roller coaster. So sometimes in the movie you can hear screams in the distance, and it's just from the theme park.
I didn't hear that, but that's awesome.
I didn't hear that either, but but here's the thing. He spent tons of time in editing, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure he
being
heard
like,
it.
God damn it.
Yeah.
So Leatherface is never referred to as Leatherface. He's always referred to as Junior by his family.
Yeah, it's just like Sean Connery in Indiana Jones.
Yeah, and they wanted Gunnar Hansen to originally come back to play Leatherface, who had played Leatherface previously, but they couldn't agree on salary, so eventually they hired a new actor, R.A. Mihailoff. Now, in the teaser trailer, it is Kane Hodder as Leatherface.
Okay.
But it's literally just them shooting stuff that never ends up in the actual film or reusing footage from other movies.
Yeah, because they hadn't started production on the movie yet when they released the trailer. That's insane.
Yeah. The armadillo hit by Michelle and the coyote thrown on the Mercedes both have earrings the same as worn by Tinker, but we just don't get a close enough shot of them to really see that. I wondered that as I was watching the movie, but I didn't know for sure until this.
Yeah.
This is also the only TCM to not film in Texas, at least in whole or in part, because everything was a set built for the film on a movie ranch.
I mean, having seen this movie, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Tobe Hooper was originally going to be involved and had submitted a treatment to New Line, but bowed out of the project due to scheduling conflicts concerning his film Spontaneous Combustion from 1989. However, there are rumors that New Line rejected his treatment and kind of boxed him out. And that's why the director was not supposed to talk to him.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. That sucks.
When Tex points out that the roadmap was printed in 1973, it's a reference to the first film that allegedly takes place in 1973. As there are almost every year, there were a series of forest fires in Valencia, California during filming, which meant that they had to work hard to get the burnt forest out of the shots during filming. And that's part of why they had to go so dark. They went to the extreme of not lighting the background so that the burnt out trees would not be visible.
I honestly think that'd be a creepier look.
It might be. Yeah, it might look better like that.
Yeah. John Hess, who directed American History X, originally lobbied to direct the movie, but New Line felt his ideas were too dark and gruesome.
Okay.
Also would have been a good film. American History X is very intense.
Yeah.
Viggo Mortensen has said that his actor's secret for Tex is that he believed Tex was secretly gay.
I believed that too.
It's not on the screen, but I like that it was in his brain. That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Leatherface's speaking toy is a PC Pal made by Texas Instruments, the people who make calculators.
So that thing is a real thing.
Yeah, allegedly.
Well, it doesn't recognize food. It's broken.
Yeah.
Because Leatherface was right.
The film was originally going to have Grandpa Sawyer not only survive, but speak for the first time in the series' history, turning out to be quite talkative when in the mood and rambling on about the good old days. But for unknown reasons, it was decided to have him just be a real corpse.
I'm so glad that was what was decided.
Yeah. So Tinker, you don't see what happens to him in the movie, but there's a deleted scene where he bleeds out from his bullet wounds.
Okay.
It was cut from the film.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, initially, this was refused any classification by the British Board of Film Censors, which meant that it had no cinematic releases, and it's since been reclassified to 18 for home video and DVD release. And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts page.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Time out.
Okay.
Sorry. There's one extra one that I think, because we talked about it, we should...
Yeah, do it.
So there was actually an alternate ending.
Oh.
Where Tex survived being burned and jumps Michelle, which is why she can't help Benny while he's fighting Leatherface. But that gets cut out because of the burns. And so it just looks like she stands there.
Yeah.
It makes a lot more sense. Now, afterwards, she wanders off into the desert where she's confronted by the little girl who angrily scolds her for killing the family and says, "I don't like you." A police car comes by, only to be revealed that Alfredo is driving with Leatherface and Grandpa as passengers. This gets cut out at script stage.
Yeah, okay.
They invite the little girl inside, and after a brief stare down, they depart, leaving Michelle stranded in the desert. But after some rewrites, this was changed to Michelle seeing the little girl riding in the back of the police car, laughing at her as they drive away. And Michelle, driven mad by the hellish experience, laughs too. Now, that's what you see when she's looking at like the oil refinery.
Yeah.
And they cut out the section, so she's like laughing and whatever. We're not seeing what she's laughing at. That's what she was laughing at.
Okay.
And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So what do you think the production budget was for Leatherface in 1990?
I'm going to say 13 million.
Okay.
I'm going to say 8.
All right. Well, the actual budget was $2 million.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. I was about to say, did you guys not watch the same movie I did? Like the quality
No, but
is
I was
pretty
like,
low.
it's New Line, which means that it's like a real studio, so they might actually put money behind it and it might just get used poorly.
Yeah, I mean, that is true too, but it seems like they didn't have a lot of money. But if you adjust for inflation, that's roughly $4.6 million today. Now, this movie came out the weekend of January 18th. In 1990. And if your movie premieres in January, that's probably a bad sign. It's usually where they sort of dump movies. Anyway, it was 11th the weekend it came out. It was beat by Born on the 4th of July was the number 1 movie that weekend. The War of the Roses was number 2. Tango and Cash was number 3. Internal Affairs was number 4. And Always was number 5. Mikey, I am not at all surprised to hear you say that, as it is a wonderful film. There were a bunch of other movies, including things like The Little Mermaid, Steel Magnolias, Glory, Back to the Future Part 2, Driving Miss Daisy. This is a great year for movies. Anyway, Leatherface was 11th. What do you think it made in its opening weekend?
100,000?
I'm going to say 800,000.
Okay, Mikey, you're going to stick with 100,000?
Uh-huh.
Okay. It made $2.6 million in its opening weekend,
geez.
which is bonkers, right? Like the budget was $2 million. It made its money back in its opening weekend and was 11th that weekend. There were just like a bunch of great movies out at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, now it was only in theaters for another weekend, so 2 weeks total. So what do you think it made worldwide at the box office? Because there was no international release.
I'm going to say just shy of 3 million, 2.8.
You think it came out because of all the buzz around that they saw it and they no one went to see it after the first weekend?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm going to say it goes 8. It goes 8.
Oof. All right, Mikey. You guys are in between it. It's $5.7 million is what they brought in total in their 2 weekends in the theaters, which if you adjust for inflation is roughly $13.4 million today. So still, I mean, this movie costing $2 million and making almost $6 million, it made money, but it's not a great movie. It is funny to watch, but not a great movie.
Yeah.
But that's your box office. So, Mikey, do you want to hit him with that scary scale?
Yeah, our Scary Scare listeners is a scale of 1 to 10 where we say how scary we found the film today when we watched it. Our 1 example is Ghostbusters, and our 10 example is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Paige.
Yeah, it's a 1 for me.
Yeah, it's a 1 for me as well. Yeah.
That's 1 for me, too. And that's the Scary Scale.
Yeah. So this week, you guys made us watch Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. What are you all making us watch next week? Oh, wait.
Next week's the listener
It's
request.
the listener request. Yeah. So the listeners, when tasked with the responsibility of coming up with a bunch of Southern slashers for the theme, the 4 they picked as their final 4 were Hatchet, House of a Thousand Corpses, Skeleton Key, and Slither. And in their infinite wisdom, 40% of them chose House of a Thousand Corpses. So that will be the movie we are doing next week, which will be our first Rob Zombie film, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to us dipping our toes into this.
I am bummed we didn't get to watch Slither because I fucking love Slither. But
Slither
we'll
is
do
fun.
Slither eventually, I'm sure. Yeah.
But we'll do it eventually. It'll be
But your
fun.
homework for next week is to see how, Rob Zombie transitioned from music to movies in his movie House of a Thousand Corpses.
All he does was rip off Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, we'll talk about it next week when we do that movie. Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
No, I was making fun of other stuff.
Yeah. Well, while you're looking one up, let me tell them how they can have their review read on the podcast, and that is to leave us a 5-star text review, and we'll have Mikey read it for you. So, Mikey, whose review are you going to read this week?
Mrs. Effin Jones.
Love it. What does Mrs. Effin Jones have to say?
I can't read the full review title, but it says, fun fact, these people will, all caps, ...
Do you want me to look it up?
If you want to.
So the full title from Mrs. Effin Jones is, fun fact, these people will abandon/eat you.
Oh, well,
Accurate.
what a twist. Okay, and she says, I absolutely love this podcast. My husband and I listen to it all the time and love talking about the fun facts and movies we learn about.
Oh, awesome.
He hit me up to listen to Creepshow immediately because it is absolute insanity from the host that neither of us could figure out what the movie was about.
I watched the movie and I also couldn't figure out what the movie was about.
This is a 5-star review, though, so this is okay. What I can confidently say after listening to enough of these episodes is that you should not count on any of these people in a real-life horror situation.
Agree.
Oh, yeah, we will abandon you.
I think you and Mikey might eat them.
Depending.
Paige will straight up run away punching while leaving you behind, making her the only survivor last girl.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mikey will be too busy planning seasonings for his once-in-a-lifetime opportunity of cannibalism. And Todd would probably be busy himself layering a skin suit.
Oh,
Thank you
wow.
all for the
Okay.
laughter and keep up the good work. 5 stars.
Well, Mrs. Effin Jones, thank you so much for that awesome 5-star review. And if you want to leave us a 5-star review, we'll have Mikey read it for you. So, guys, if you like this show but want to hear this power throuple on another movie review show about romance and romantic comedies, check out Romancing the Pod, where Mikey, Paige, and I break down and make fun of romantic movies. It's a lot of fun, guys. Check it out. If you want to follow us on social, please do. We are at Horror Virgin or online at horrorvirgin.com. If you want to follow us all individually, you can do that as well. Paige is at Paige Wesley on Twitter or Rampage Wesley everywhere else, including TikTok. Mikey is at mrandolph24, and I am at Todd J. Awesome. If you like the show so much and you want to help financially support it, please do by going to patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where you can get a lot of great levels and a lot of great stuff like bonus episodes, director's cut episodes where they're a little bit longer and you get them actually a day earlier than the regular feed drop. We do a lot of great things like listener requests and stuff like that. So guys, check out the Patreon and help support the show.
If you want to financially support me, but not Todd, just look me up on Venmo.
If you can't financially support the show, that's understandable. That's fine. But if you want to hang out with us on the daily, join the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/horrorvirgin. We also link it like once a week. So just find it there and join the awesome Facebook group. Literally, we're in there talking every day. It's awesome. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee, 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
And if you want to check out our Twitch stream, we're at twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, where we will be playing horror video games. So if you have always wondered what it would be like to watch me get scared, you can now do that on Twitch while I play these horror games. It's twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, guys. Check it out. It's a lot of fun for you. Not a lot of fun for me. This episode brought to you by Tia, and Tia's teenager's been like super driving her crazy. So how is Tia's teenager driving her crazy this week?
She forgot that the saw is family.
And that thing is $3,000, guys.
Yes.
It is a member of the family.
Yes.
You'd think it'd be made of Saul gold dust.
This episode also brought to you by Jonathan, and Jonathan wants me to make you guys watch some videos. So I'm going to do that right now when I show you this video. You guys ready? Let me steal your screen so I can do just that. Bloop, bloop. Oh my God. What is... Hang on. So we're watching Transformers, but to the tune of Kickstart My Heart, and I'm here for that because the song slaps. I'm just playing along. I mean, it just seems like it's a music video to Transformers, which I'm here for.
Yeah.
Why not kickstart my heart?
Don't hate that.
I mean, I do love this song a lot. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for sharing that video with us, and thank you so much for the support. We now return you to another episode of the Patreonicals.
Out in fairy tale land, James Airy holds Sexcalibur in his hands. And Sexcalibur says, "This way, this is where Vixen, the maiden of distress, is." And behind, the group comes upon a talking bird. And Isaac the Black Knight says, "Let me eat that fucking bird."
Yo, let me have that bird, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, no.
What's good with that bird, though?
Yeah, and Kate's like, no, don't eat the bird. Don't do it. Let's not do it. The bird's like, "Don't eat me. I know I can help you get to where the Vixen is if you solve this riddle."
Wait, the bird can speak and it's like the Riddler?
It's like a
bridge troll. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with a bird.
But it's a bird. It's a bird troll.
It's a bird. Dreskel in his Iron Man suit is like, "Let's stop fucking around. Let's go this way." And
he's like, "I'm in an Iron Man suit. Literally nothing in fairy tale land can hurt me ever. So let's just go."
Yes. And Lauren, the cave person, was like, "We can cook this up pretty good.
Yeah.
Like,
this
we
bird?
just got to hit it with the club and we can eat it." Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Sunzi the Tin Man is like, "Hello, everybody." And they're like, "Shut the fuck up, Sunzi."
Wow. Wait, is Sunzi the guy who just wants you to be mean to him every episode?
This is just how I treat them now.
It seems to me that you have a grudge against Sunzi. Like Sunzi.
You're welcome for the special treatment. I'm not even going to charge you for it.
Except for the Patreon support, we appreciate it.
But it's the normal. This is an extra attention.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, they've got Jay's pack, and Jeremy pulls out Jay's pack, and it's like, "Oh, it's a compass that points the way to the woman." And they're like, "That's really convenient." You're like, "Well, that's Jay's pack."
Yeah.
And then Jeremy goes, "Fuck it," and he uses his laser eyes and kills the parrot.
So wait, it was a bird. Now it's a parrot.
A bear. Well, I mean, all parrots are birds.
That is true. And parrots can talk. So I do buy that, like, if it is a riddle saying bird, it might be a parrot.
Back at the Magic Castle, Libby, the queen,
newly elected queen,
yes, orders Karun and Natasha to come down, and I'm just gonna make all of this up, and Boezy and Allie, the two couples, and she's like, "Well, let's have a ball. We're gonna plan a ball for y'all."
Oh, I love balls for y'alls.
balls are y'all's. And Mr. Rageman was like, yes. And he sends a bottle rocket, right? And she's like, stop firing in the castle hall or whatever.
Like there are things that can catch on fire. Have you not seen my tapestries?
Yes. Glinda the Good Witch comes down and she's like, I'll help and conjure ball stuff like food and stuff.
She's catering is what you're saying. Yeah, perfect. Love it.
Yeah. And Madeline the Jester is like, I am a member of a medieval fairy tale band, so I will get them to come as well. And then cut to Vixen, the maiden in distress, with River Moon, the evil witch. She's tied up, and River Moon's like, we'll stop those do-gooders from coming to stop you. I'm going to send give me a fairy tale-y creature.
Griffin.
Whatever. Fuck it. I'm going to send my griffin to go kill them. And then that's how the episode ends.
All right. I guess we'll have to find out next week what happens with that griffin on another episode of the Patreonicals.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd.
Keep it ooky spooky.
Have a great week.
Bye, Leatherface nerds.